serve and grow, is what you can expect at the House of Reconciliation. Leadership, community, education, wellness, and participation is part of our plan for your spiritual growth and success. Family and faith is a core value for the House of Reconciliation, working to help people find their purpose. Want to make an impact in the kingdom? Ready to tap into your future? Meet us at the House Sundays with Pastor Reginald Campbell, www.houseofreconciliation.org.
Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. We are here at the Greenville campus, 1427 Suite E Lawrence Road. Thank all of those that are part of the in-service and the broadcast this evening. And of course, we want to thank those that are partnering with us and watching from the Greenwood campus, as well as our virtual campus. And of course, to our international global partners, we thank you for joining in today. Want to give a special thanks out to the numbers increasing in Charlotte, North Carolina, as well as the big city of Spartanburg and Clinton, as well as, what was it in Clinton? I think Clinton and Malden. So thank you all for chiming in. We'd love for you guys to come and be a part of our in-service broadcast as well. So don't hesitate. That's 1427 Suite E Lawrence Road, every Wednesday at 6:50 and every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. If you're in the Greenwood area, don't hesitate. It's at 210 Pansy Road, Hodges, South Carolina. We thank you and thank all of those that are part of the virtual campus. Just a couple house cleaning things. We will have a community college pre-Halloween day this coming Saturday at the Greenwood campus, and that is at 210 Pansy Road. You can go to social media platforms and see those times will be from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m. And as far as the serving goes, it's first come, first serve. I think that's how it rolls, if I said it right. Because we don't have food to feed the nation, but we do have food, one plate per person. We have activities and blow-ups for the kids and games and music, and it's just going to be a fun festival day. Because after that, everybody rolls into Halloween and trick-or-treat and all that kind of stuff. So we kind of combine in all those. So if you're part of Erskine, you're a part of Piedmont Tech, you're a part of Lander, you're a part of Newberry, and you're part of Presbyterian College, we look for see you. Just come by, holler at us. We'll be there on the grounds. So we thank all of you for what you've done. And tonight, we're going to do two things. We're going to revisit Stack the Money, Part 1. I'm going to give you 11 things from that. Then we're going to break out a little bit of Don't Fly with the Flock. All right, number one. Most people pay attention and watch the broadcast, and he or she or they are trying to get nuggets and things to add to their life and add value. But here is something I have to share with you. In order for everything to work and be in sync, there are three elements that you have power and control over. That's your body, your mind, and your spirit. And those three must be in balance. You can go to the story of Nicodemus and how that he had the basic things that he needed for society, but he was empty on the other side. So to create balance and to have this quote right here, this is the whole goal: quality of life. Many people have money turned into philanthropism to give money away because they're trying to find peace. Because all money is not clean money, and all clean money is not dirty money. So that's something for you. So here's the thing. Number one, I mentioned it briefly last night, but I'm going to say it again. Everyone in this climate, pre-recession, so if you're a writer and you're someone, this is for everybody. Pre-recession, everyone needs to build multiple streams of income. Here is how that happened. You have to learn how to manage your time. Time is money. The other thing you have to do is put a plan in place. I can't remember the scripture. I think it's Proverbs 12:5. The plans of the diligent. If you have no plan for your money, then you're giving money away. If you have no plan, no budget. Here's the other thing. Start removing negative people from you and from your environment. And if you're negative, then you need to read positive things, because you will shortchange yourself to maximize your innate inheritance, and you will cripple your spiritual birthright. So if you're negative and you see everything with a cross eye, then you are hindering yourself. Most people's issues are self-inflicted. One of the things that they say for anxiety comes from the individual overthinking. Here's the other one. We talked briefly about building an e-fund, and so we're going to elaborate on that. But quickly, I want to share with you this concept. This is the time to become the ant or the squirrel. They're not wasting or spending their time on things that will not preserve them. In hibernation, pre-inflation, what are you doing to ensure your financial stability in this pre-recession? What are you doing? All right? You must plan for your future. A future without money or plan are simply empty dreams. Right now, over 19 million people, tax day for many people was on October the 15th. Those are those that have maybe small businesses, or I think corporations are in September, and LLCs are pretty much in October. But there was over 19 million people that applied for extensions because they were looking for some type of break from Congress. What I'm trying to do is pre-educate people so when December the 1st comes around, they're not codependent on whatever if they get a tax return. If you've waited 12 months to get a tax return, then you're technically not handling your finances correctly. And if you're only working to pay bills and keep a roof over your head, you're in survival mode. You're not in pre-recession. You're not in pre-inflation, because inflation right now is 8.2% on everything. And the average American family of four right now is spending on the basic needs in a household $680 to $1,200 additional dollars a month. So the question becomes, why are you still spending? Everyone now should be buckling down. The average American, according to statistical data, says that the average American only has about $400 saved. Remember, don't let me forget to talk about the e-fund. So if the average person, the average household right now is spending an additional $680 to $1,200 additional dollars a month, then what is the possibility of saving? And this is, they right now, they consider $19 to $21 an hour to be low income wages. And the minimum wages still in South Carolina, I believe, is $7.35. And the average wage for someone who's working in General Assembly is around $10 to $12 to $13. I'm going to say something that may be a little bit offensive. Your pay scale is not based on your ability. It's really predicated on how long you've been working with the company. Because what pay you're getting now, you will be in the rare 1%, a fraction of a percent, to go somewhere to get paid one time, let alone two times what you're worth. And the period, I know here in the South, it may happen, but it doesn't happen that often, where you get sign-on bonuses and stock options. And see, here's the magic behind the stock options. They will bait you with all of this, but they never plan for you to get the full substratum of what it is that you're trying to get. That's why in some institutions, it takes up to 10 years to get on top pay. They don't plan for you to be there 10 years. Most people try to take a job for life. They don't realize it's just a transitional point. So here's what we're going to talk about briefly. Don't fly with the flock. Many people have eagle potential, but they're trapped in a cage because the association and the environment that he or she hangs out with doesn't have vision or understand process. You've heard of free range chickens. That's what the average person wants to be. They just want to cluck around, be free, and there's no rhyme or reason to what they do. How many of us today are living in those type of environments? I'll give it to you from a scriptorial standpoint, but I'll give you a little story that there was a mother eagle that was trying to get her last little eagle out of her nest. So she wouldn't go, so she kicked her out. And most of the time, eagles don't destroy their nests, but she tore it up so the little bird couldn't come back. See, your problem stopped you and hurt you, but they were there for lessons and you took them personal. So you didn't learn from the failure. You didn't learn from the brokenness. So the eagle, the little eagle, fell among in a chicken coop. And so now here's the difference. The eagle kept watching other birds fly above their heads because the eagle is a predator. But the chickens only saw what was on the ground. So from a scriptorial point, that would come out of Matthew 25, chapter 25, verses 1 through 4, that talks about the 5 wise virgins and the 5 foolish virgins. They were equal, but not equal in processing the information that they received. And I'm quite aware of the numbers that have increased, and a lot of people are watching because what they want to do is sit on their couch in their underwear and collect all this information and never be a part of the ministry, never donate to the ministry. Anything free is not worth having. Write it down, comment about it, get ticked off about it, because a couple of people made a couple comments. And so then when I educate them, they were like, well, yeah, I look at it like that, you know. So what you have to understand is every time you get something free, to the people who gave it to you, it had no value. Can I make that real plain to you and us now? How many times do you go to the store and buy fresh fruit that has no seeds in it, which means you can't replant it, you can enjoy it, but it can never produce anything for you? How many times have people given you things that couldn't produce anything for you and set a precedence with you that you're always looking for something free? It dulls the natural instinct to do something for yourself if someone always gives you something. So the little eagle kept looking up, and there's a couple things that it noticed. The group that it was with kept looking at the ground and kept looking around. They never looked up. What am I saying? There's opportunities for you, but they're not in front of you. They are above you. And what you have to do is look up and skill up and educate up in order to do it. So as the chickens could fly about 5 to 6 feet on the ground, they were able to go about maybe 7 feet, and they have to land. Because of the environment, the little eagle never saw itself spreading its wings. This is why I say to you, don't fly with the flock. Because you could be in the group with the 5 foolish. And people will fool you because the mass majority doesn't look for this one thing: vision, truth, prep, process, and execution. Bring me my phone over there. There's a quote, and I don't want to jack up the quote. So which group are you in? The 5 wise or the 5 foolish? You caught up in the environment of what everybody else is doing? It's probably over here. Or are you focused on preparing yourself for pre-inflation, which right now is 8.2% plus on everything? On everything. So the average household, why are you spending money? when you are losing $680 to $1,200 a month with no return, that's just for the basic fundamental needs of your home. Here's what I'm going to give you. Movement and activity is not productivity. See, when you hang out with the foolish, it's movement. What's that? You're excited. Woo, 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 girl, woo, woo. Man, you know, we this and we that, and we bumping elbows and all that stuff. Movement and activity is not productivity. It doesn't produce anything but emotional stimulation. It tickles your fancy. It tickles your bun-buns. And let me say it like this. This is why I'm very straightforward and very honest. This is why I use a what do we call it, a preclaimer, a disclaimer? Because, see, when you listen to this will help try to understand where you've been. But this will awaken you to where you're supposed to be, so then you can chart a course to where you're going. See, if you like tradition and you just want old hymns and the preacher to preach you to the cross, look, I know about Jesus on the cross. But I want the scripture that talks about that I want you to have life and have it more abundantly. I don't want to get to heaven to have certain things. I want to be able to have things on earth. So I've heard about the cross. But how do I live once I'm resurrected from my challenges? How do I manifest and evolve from a caterpillar into a butterfly that now have wings that I can go places that I thought I never could go? But if the person that disseminates the word to me is telling me, oh, the Lord, and I like the sound doesn't produce knowledge. And so we are going back to what we are accustomed to. But what we are accustomed to is not equivalent to the situation that we're dealing with. My founder and pastor passed away, I think it was May 25th, 2006. And people are like, oh, wish, Dr. Cameron come. I wish she would, because she can get y'all and I can go somewhere else. But here's what I'm saying. Her information was relevant to her day. And there are people that understand that certain ethnicities are hipped and moved by a sound and certain movement and a certain look. But I'm telling you, movement and activity is not productivity. You should be under a ministry that looks you in the face and challenges you to get the best that God has put in you out of you. And sometime that word will ruffle your feathers. Because if you go back and go to a place that you're used to hearing and you're singing hymns and you got doxology and all of that and you feel good and you clap your hands and you go feed the hungry, there ain't no place for that in heaven. What did you produce? You are God's greatest creation. So here's the thing. Productivity, for those that are writing, leads to the outcome that moves you forward. Productivity. You need to get active in your life. So now let's go back to the little eagle. The little eagle noticed that everything around it was just flapping its wings. And the eagle never moved and spread it, but when it started spreading his wings, then all of the chickens had to step back because his wings or her wings were bigger than the group they were associating with. See, sometimes you're talking to people that's at the top of their mountain, and you're literally at the foot of yours. And your DNA is designed for a greater level. I'll give it to you this way. You could be a giraffe. Then why are you breaking your neck to eat the grass with the turtle? When you have the turtle has to eat what it sees. A giraffe has the ability to go and pick what it wants because it can see 25 feet beyond the turtle. So there's some people that only can see what's in front of them. And there are other people that have the ability to process what's ahead of them. So when the little eagle started flapping his wings and found out that his wings were bigger and spreader, she began to get strength in his wings. And so then the group that it was a customary to couldn't talk to it and keep it restrained. There comes a time in your life that you have to break the chrysalis that you're in. And you don't break it with how you look. You break it with how you prepare. Does this make sense? See, you're trying to present yourself one way, but your environment keeps you trapped another way. And that way has to evolve, just like Nicodemus went and talked to Jesus and says, you're doing things everybody else aren't doing. And, we have medallions on and we represent the Sanhedrin court and I'm a judge. And how do people follow you? And you didn't even have a stitch of education, but yet you have a greater level of knowledge than anybody that I set on the board. And let me tell you something. I think most of you are afraid to challenge the environment that you're in because you're comfortable. And what you're in is controllable. It doesn't challenge you, and you can't challenge it. So you're both stuck in an area where you have the ability to go and fly to a new area. But see, that takes you out of your comfort zone. That takes you out of the familiar. So when you're unhappy sometime and you're unhappy with your job and you're unhappy, it's because you're not around the right people to challenge your intellect and intelligence, and you're not under the right ministry that teaches you about your spiritual birthright. You just want to get something to get something, and you will always be stuck. And the great Les Miles said it this way. I said in this one, and I got this one from him. He said, listen, you have to do now what people won't do, so you'll have later what people can't get. We're headed either into a pre-recession. We're already right now in pre-inflation, and it's already at 8 plus 2%. Where is the reality in your life? You want more money to put it in the wealthy hands. What do you have? Store it up. Remember I said the E-fund? Let me break this down to you. Let me give you some knowledge here. First of all, if you are 30 years old, I'm not talking about married, 30 years old. This is talking to each individual. The statistical data says if you're 30 years old right now, you should have in your savings, you alone, no less than $13,500 in your savings. That's not your E-fund. This ain't your 401k. This ain't me and my spouse and together we, no. This talking about you, Cletus. You want to dance around and spit and pop and talk about what the preacher got on and this, that, and the other, and you just hear, and I promise you, and this is the thing, let me give it to you real quick. Most of you all can preach the sermon that your preacher gonna preach on Sunday. I might better turn around on that one. And if you look up on the slide, that's why most people are hitting the wall. Because the information you need is not within the walls that you are. See, you're comfortable with controlling, but you're not comfortable with being challenged. Somebody better write that one down. You're comfortable with controlling, but you're not comfortable with being challenged. I told y'all, I ain't the one to play with. Maybe I need to turn around again because, maybe I just need to talk to myself over here. See, you're comfortable with demanding from people, but you struggle with your deliveries. You can't deliver yourself, but you want to challenge everybody else. And if it stays the same, then you don't need no information. And that's why most cultures are behind. Because I'm looking, and if you resend to me that slide, that said that if your skill set is, if you got educated between 2015, now forget about us that's been way down the line, that got educated in the 80s. I guess we already did. But there was a statistical data that you sent me that said if your skill set was in 2015, up to 2021, you already outdated. Because the corporations now, for the cutting edge technology, are now trying to find ways to educate people that can be prepared. This is why you hear about there's some jobs that they can't fulfill. It's because people don't have that skill set. But those are the jobs where you can actually get a bonus. Need to talk to the great Daniel O'Neill Cohen. You all can hit him up, hashtag him, when he talks about your signing bonus for your company is $60,000. And you have a contract for 3 to 5 years. And you get proper sharing and stock and all of that. You down here bragging in the flatland. Am I making sense? Or y'all still stuck on the 30-year-old having $13,500 in your savings, not your husband's, not your combined, not all of the accounts that you have. That's in your savings. Anybody want to talk to me right now, huh? Which one you in? The 5 wise or the 5 foolish? Don't fly with the flock. So when the little eagle started spreading his wings, his environment became uncomfortable. And so then when he started running and hopping, he began to get strength in his wings. See, here's what most people don't want. Stop fighting with people who won't follow the process. And when you begin to stretch your wings and get strength and knowledge of preparation and pre-preparation, and the new word is pre-practice. Oh, we don't want to pre-practice. No, Uncle Bucky. We just want to walk up there with our hamstrings all tight and our glutes all tight and just hit a home run and cheer. We don't want to be over there stretching with weights on the bat and all of that. We don't want to be out there and pre-warm up and doing it. We just want to go out there and do the doggone thing. Tell people you don't know who I be. Here's the problem. Go to your pastor on Sunday and say, I heard a guy say this. Do I want to look the part or live the part? And look your pastor in the face and say, Pastor, how can you help me? Because I've been looking the part, Pastor, and I ain't got nothing. And I hear you preach the same message. And let me tell you how you really know what your pastor preaching. Ask the great Bishop Noel Jones. He said people start writing. He preached this 1st April. He preached this last Easter. He preached this the 3rd Sunday in March. And that this was his title. And last year, and I remember this what he said, because there are people that keep up with this stuff. But if you don't get a fresh word for the Lord, but how can you get a fresh word for the Lord when you consume with you? I got 3 minutes and I'm out of here. So where y'all stuck at? Pre-practice, pre-inflation, and pre-recession. How are you and your family prepared? This is the time now to skill up. Let me tell you what you do when you're hanging around your friends and you've got a nice car and they got a nice car and, you've got a nice house. Everybody has that right now, hopefully. But this recession hit. Now, let me help you out. What you got from the government the last time? You ain't getting none of that this time. This is what I do for a living. The stimulant, they said something about a stimulant. Did y'all get y'all stimulant yet? Now let me mess up. What is it? Social Security? SS? Okay. They getting an 8.7%. That's $35 a week. And that's going to put you in a different tax bracket. So out of that $35 a week, you might get $12.83. And that's the biggest one you've received in 40 years. Now you want to talk about get the wheel, Jesus. No. This is what your pastors and your preachers won't tell you. And I'm going to give you this, and some of you have said a cliffhanger, and some of y'all said a cliff drop. I'm going to give you this at 7:14. Here's the problem. Yeah, that's what mine say. Everybody has told you to look up to Jesus. But you didn't learn. If you go back to the Old Testament, Jesus replied and supplied one time on earth with a free buffet. It was called manna when they were in the wilderness. The only wilderness you're in now is the one you put yourself in. Because when they go up and you go to church now on Sunday, I'm gonna make you smart. Listen to how many times they tell you to look up. And let me tell you what happens when you look up. How much have dropped out of the sky for you? I'm going to give you something you don't know. Most of us don't know. Everything you need is beneath your feet. When God created earth, he told the earth to produce. The problem is you don't want to work and process anything to produce anything. And let me give you this that most people don't get. And I know it's kind of wiry. In the continent of Africa, there has always been a struggle for water. Here is what people do. They capitalize on your desperation, and they meet your temporary struggle, and they take your permanent inheritance. How can they dig in the same dirt you came from and find water, a stream of wells? Most of us, well, some of y'all not old enough, but there's a couple of us grew up with great grandmothers that had wells, but you didn't see the water, did you? See, what you won't do is dig for what's yours. That's how someone comes over and take advantage of you, because you are in desperation. But if you were to dig beneath your feet, dig in your DNA, dig in your innate inheritance, and talk to your God, everything you need in Africa today is still the major country that produces every mineral in the world. Now, you can go over there and talk to the Saudis if you want to, but if you dig a little different, they connected to Africa. So I'm going to ask you a question. Why are you looking up? You only should look up for salvation. See, people got you looking up in the sky and waiting on something to find, looking in the mailbox when they digging in the earth and finding water, minerals, diamonds, oysters. Right now in Africa, South Africa, on the bottom of the continent, they produce 300 billion gallons of wine a year out of dry dirt. And you know how they got salt water to be fresh water? They pumped it underground and poured it over rocks and then brought it up as fresh water and watered the gardens. How do you let other people find a gift that God gave you? Because you're looking at your situation and not embracing the opportunity. Deuces.